How's it going, YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about some information that I compiled about does alcohol consumption affect muscle hypertrophy, muscle growth, muscle retention, atrophy, stuff like that. So I've got a whole bunch of information here. I'm going to link all of the papers in the description that I have on the topic, and let's jump into it. If you like these types of videos, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment in the comment section if you have any suggestions. And let's get into it. Many people have wondered in the past few decades whether alcohol consumption has an effect on muscle gain. It's funny because when you look back in history and you talk to old school bodybuilders, it almost seems like drinking alcohol helped. Like a lot of the old school bodybuilders talk about how they used to drink beer all the time, they used to do all this stuff all the time. If you look at any type of, history lesson of buffer people, they're always drinking, like high testosterone type activities. But does that actually have an effect on muscle gain or not? So the big buff dudes in history were always rowdy, high testosterone, drink under the table type guys. Whether that's actually true or that's just the way that we depict it in media, I don't know. How many buff frat dudes have you seen who drink 12-pack every single night but are still bigger than you, right? So it seems like it's not really affecting them very much. This may appear to point you in a certain direction, but let's look at the actual application of science muscle gain over a prolonged period of time into higher age demographics. And we look at the science behind muscle building, muscle maintaining, muscle loss, and we delve into the effect of alcohol consumption, the effect that it can have on these metrics. So, what is alcohol? So let's define it first real quick. Oxford Dictionary, a colorless, volatile, flammable liquid that is produced by the natural fermentation of sugars, and its intoxicating constituent of wine, beer, spirits, and other drinks, is also used as an industrial solvent and as fuel. So now we're consuming something that can be used as fuel, can be used as a solvent, has a bunch of different industrial applications, it's a volatile, flammable liquid. Like, why are we even drinking this? How does it break down in your body? Most alcohol is broken down or metabolized by an enzyme in your liver cells known as the alcohol dehydrogenase, or ADH. It breaks down alcohol into acetaldehyde and then another enzyme, aldehyde dehydrogenase, ALDH, rapidly breaks down acetaldehyde into acetate. The acetate is then further metabolized and leaves your body as carbon dioxide and as water. So acetaldehyde is a toxic substance that can cause an unpleasant reaction when it builds up. Symptoms you might experience from ALDH enzyme does not function properly include flushing of the face, hot sensations, nausea, and palpitations. Palpitations in this context is an awareness of your heartbeat and usually beating faster simultaneously. So how is muscle built? So now that we know what alcohol is, how it's digested in your body and processed and gotten rid of, some of the effects it can have on your body, how is muscle built? So through stimulation and adaptation, this stimulation and adaptation tells the body to improve strength or work capacity by using and improving through progressive overload. Two main routes of hypertrophy: sarcoplasmic hypertrophy and myofibrillar hypertrophy. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is an increase in the volume of sarcoplasmic fluid within the muscle cell itself. This increases with no accompanying increase in muscular strength. So this is that classic, like, he's gotten bigger, but he still lifts the same, and it's mostly just about the damage you can do, and it's muscle swelling and all this stuff. That's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Myofibrillar hypertrophy is the actin and myosin contractile proteins of the muscle cell increase in number and add to muscular strength, as well as a small increase in the size of the muscle. So based on some of the papers I read and some of the information I read, they tend to be saying sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is like muscle hypertrophy getting bigger but not increasing strength. Myofibrillar hypertrophy is muscles getting stronger but not necessarily getting very much bigger, which is why you can see 150-pound dudes deadlifting 700 pounds, squatting 580 pounds. They have a very easy time building their myofibrillar hypertrophy, but they don't build as much sarcoplasmic, and this can be affected by the type of exercises that they're doing. If you're going specifically for muscle hypertrophy, like bodybuilder type workouts, then you're going to train in a different way than if you're going specifically for strength gains and trying to stay within a certain weight class. So this is demonstrated in the differing training methods of bodybuilders versus powerlifters, and why you might see an almost skinny guy weighing 140 pounds be able to squat 500 pounds, while a large bodybuilding type male might only be able to squat 405. A, it's sport-specific neural adaptations, but B, it can also be this myofibrillar versus sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So this is demonstrated in this way. Through this process, your body requires protein, vitamins, minerals to build the muscle tissue and rest to create an environment where your body prioritizes this process. The amount of muscle hypertrophy or muscle protein synthesis can also be greatly affected by circulating hormone levels throughout this process and proper nutrition and rest to help maintain a normal and healthy hormonal level. I have a cat here. Just jumped up on me. How is muscle maintained? Muscle maintenance is a very similar process to muscle building, where the main difference here is that you don't have to progressively overload or take in as much nutrition. You can lower your intake to a maintenance level and reduce your workload, sometimes to even half of your normal working level, and you can maintain your muscle mass. So if I'm going into a diet phase, and I really want to focus on losing fat but maintaining muscle, and keyword is maintaining muscle, I'm not trying to do any crazy stuff that I can actually gain muscle while I'm losing fat, which I feel like, in my opinion, is possible if you do a lot of things right. I'm probably going to almost cut my volume/intensity in half, so I have more energy for doing more cardio, and my recovery is good. So how does alcohol interact with this process? So studies have shown that, and let me scroll over here. Studies have shown that alcohol consumption reduces muscle protein synthesis, which reduces the possibility of gaining muscle. It has also been revealed that alcohol negatively modifies hormone levels, leading to a reduction in the aforementioned muscle protein synthesis, as well as a decrease in the body's metabolism, meaning that the capability to decrease or maintain normal body fat becomes inhibited. So this can lead to an increased difficulty in building and maintaining muscle mass, as well as an increased difficulty of burning body fat. So drinking alcohol in this context does two things. It reduces the amount of beneficial hormones circulating your system, it reduces your overall metabolism, and it reduces your muscle protein synthesis. There have been studies showing that moderate alcohol consumption along with a proper diet, resistance training, and at least an intermittent normal rest recovery can have little to no effect on muscle maintenance and hypertrophy. So take everything here with a grain of salt. Everything in moderation. If you can have alcohol, even on a daily basis, at a moderate amount, so like the whole 1 or 2 glasses of red wine before you go to sleep, or maybe you go out and you have 1 or 2 beers every other day, even every day if you're doing everything else correctly, and it's not going to have very much of an effect. But if you're binge drinking Friday and Saturday night, like if you're in college, or if you're heavily drinking every single day, it's definitely going to affect those things I mentioned before. The aforementioned effects also reduce the body's ability to complete efficient and effective post-exercise recovery. So paper number 12 in the list of papers I'm going to put in the bottom goes into the effect of alcohol on performance as well. So there's a difference between the effect of alcohol on muscle gain and muscle maintenance and the effect of chronic alcohol consumption on performance from a sports perspective if you're an athlete and you are running instead of trying to build muscle. So does the amount or the type of alcohol matter? So before I conclude this real quick, I have a little section here talking about does the type matter. Based on the text linked below, it does not seem that the actual type of alcohol matters. Example, wine, whiskey, vodka, beer. Stuff like beer can have a differing effect only because of the, the carbonation of the drink. If you're drinking a lot of carbonated beverages, the carbonation can actually affect the way that you digest it. And it can have other effects. So like there's a beer gut, but there's no vodka gut, whiskey gut, right? It has an effect over time. Due to the fact that once ingested, your body breaks it down and treats it all the same, there isn't too much of a difference. The only difference is the amount of accompanying sugars, which can also have another effect on the rate of absorption, but that doesn't seem to be very significant. So if there's a drink that you have that has more sugar in it, so taking a shot of vodka versus drinking a couple beers, there's way more calories in a couple beers than there is in a shot of vodka, right? Drinking wine, higher calorie than spirits. Also, if there's a certain type of drink that you drink where it makes you eat more while you're drinking it, then that obviously is going to have an effect. The amount seems to matter the most, even more than the frequency. You would be looking at your total consumption over a 24-hour period of time. Based on that, having 1 shot every 6 hours 3 times during the day, right? And just pounding 3 shots all at once will have a similar effect on bodily function at the physiological level when looking at a longer time frame. So like hypertrophy recovery over the course of multiple weeks or months. So in the short term, pounding 3 shots all at once right after a workout because you went to a party and you go to sleep, that's going to have a worse effect than if you had one shot in the morning, one shot in the middle of the day, one shot at night in that short-term micro cycle. But in the overall, in the months, whether you drink 1-1-1 or whether you drink 3 all at once every other day or every day, it doesn't seem to have an effect, a differing effect. It still has an effect. In conclusion, the research seems to trend toward alcohol consumption reduces the body's ability to efficiently cause muscle protein synthesis, leading to a reduced muscle protein or muscle hypertrophy, maintenance, and recovery. The jury is still out when it comes to actual athletic performance, but I'm sure that this will be thoroughly studied in the years to come, and I do have a couple papers talking about athletic performance that I'm going to put in the description. But hopefully you learned something here, and maybe this changes your habits, maybe it doesn't, maybe it makes you think about certain things. But it is important to note that if you are trying to do a weight loss phase, then it is difficult, mostly because the amount of empty calories in alcoholic beverages that's not going towards protein or not going towards fat for metabolic regulation and hormone regulation. It's not going towards easily digested carbs in the same way as if you had like a cup of rice versus 2 beers, right? But that is it for this video. If you have any comments or suggestions, go ahead and post them in the comment section below or message me directly. I also have an Instagram, Dr. Jake Official, and I'll see you in the next one.